After the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our commander's flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go! Go, 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 go.
What's good, Washington Commanders fans? Alright, got a little tidbit for y'all guys today. Now, I've been sitting on this thinking I still got a lot of more videos to pump out, but I'll definitely get to them as we approaching up on my birthday weekend, because my birthday is Tuesday, so shout out to me. But there was 2 articles that I want to elaborate on a little bit more. One was about Jahan Dotson, and one was about Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson benefiting for Eric Bieniemy's offense. Now, first I want to start off with Eric Bieniemy. I think Eric Bieniemy is the truth. I think Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a fair shake, getting a chance of being a head coach, but thank God we have him on our staff. I think Eric Bieniemy has shown what kind of guy, what kind of coach he is for OTAs and minicamp so far, and what he has been able to get the most out of these guys. And the work is not done yet because we have training camp coming up next month. But make no mistake, Eric Bieniemy is a hell of an offensive coordinator. Now, some people wants to give Andy Reid a lot of credit because they say, well, it's Andy Reid's system. But you got to think about Andy Reid's system for a little bit. Go back to the times that Andy Reid was in the NFC with the Philadelphia Eagles. Andy Reid had a high-power offense. He won division titles. But guess what? He could never make it to the big one. And when he finally did, he ran into Tom Brady and lost. Guess what? Andy Reid ran into Tom Brady again and lost. Now, as great as his offense is, personnel has to play a whole part to that. And that's what I feel like Eric Bieniemy has excelled in. Because if you look at the years of Andy Reid and Philly into what his teams is, they're totally different. Not bad, so much different, but different as in how you utilize the personnel. If you think about what Eric Bieniemy offense it runs a lot of shiftiness, screens, and zone reads a little bit. And that's between the running back and the wide receiver. You got to think McCall Hardman, what he was doing. He was a gadget guy, right? Now, and you always kept one tight end, Travis Kelce. Now, they do have another tight end, but they don't use him as much. So I say this to say that. Look at Washington Commanders personnel. Terry, Dotson, AG, Brian Robinson, Logan Thomas now, Cole Turner, if he comes back to be the Cole Turner that we hope he will be. Ain't no different from what the Kansas City Chiefs offense looked like. Just for quarterback differences. And you think about this. Just imagine that Patrick Mahomes, you take Patrick Mahomes and put him in Washington. The only weapon that will be a little bit different is tight end. Can Logan Thomas be that Travis Kelce? Don't know. Can you get the most out of him in that position? Absolutely. So I'm thinking this here. Eric Bieniemy offense is very dynamic. Very, very dynamic. You've seen a lot of teams starting to incorporate that style of offense. Even from Cincinnati. Look at Cincinnati, what Cincinnati has done to Kansas City in the last few years, except for last year. And nevertheless, they could have still won that game. Look what the Buffalo Bills is trying to do. The same exact thing. Everybody's trying to copy somebody. So now Eric Bieniemy is not in Kansas City anymore. Now Kansas City still will be the favorite because they're the defending Super Bowl champs. But could their offense look a little bit different? I say they will. Because, you can probably, the other offensive coordinator probably wants to do little things. Now, they probably keep some stuff because to Patrick Mahomes' liking, he has the right, he has viewed as that guy to like, look, hey, I want to keep some of this stuff right here. So, who knows? But, now moving on to the Commanders. I do believe that Eric Bieniemy is what we needed. If you remember in the offseason how we have viewed and interviewed all these offensive coordinators, and we was trying to figure out who would have been best suited for this team. I wanted Eric Bieniemy from the jump because how dynamic Kansas City's offense is. I think if some of the other candidates was cool. Now, I was very high. I was high on Schottenheimer. I was high on Ken Dorsey. And I just felt like they would have been, they could have did the same job. You know what I'm saying? Because of how dynamic, prolific, their offenses was. You couldn't get a run first type of guy. You just couldn't. It would never work. So now to go into two guys that I think vastly is going to help. It's going to feed off what Eric Bieniemy is giving. They are the two dynamic guys. And I'm going to call them the dynamic duo. Not as running back, but wide receiver and running back. No, I'm not talking about Terry McLaurin. We already know how dynamic Terry is. Terry is that number one receiver because Terry is going to garner a lot of attention. This is why you have to have more versatility on offense with different weapons because as great as Justin Jefferson is, as great as DK Metcalf is, as great as Stephon Diggs is, as great as Travis Kelce is, you need other components to your offense that help you put the pressure on other teams' defense. You have to do that because certain keys in the game is going to call for certain dynamics. We can't force feed the ball to Terry all the time just because, give the ball to Terry, he's that guy. Terry is going to get his numbers. Don't make no mistake. Terry's going to get his numbers. And by the time I finish this video, I'm going to shock y'all with my prediction for not just Terry, but another receiver. And I'll get to him later in this segment. But Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuels are basically the same. One is a receiver. The other one is a running back. Now, yeah, Tony Gibson had played receiver in college, but he's a running back in the NFL. But he's a very dynamic running back. I think he's more dynamic as a running back. He could be, if anybody remember Thurman Thomas back in the day, back in the 90s when they was on that Super Bowl run and how Jim Kelly used Thurman Thomas, screen game, running game. He was deadly in the screen game. If you want to take it a little bit more, look how the New England Patriots used Kevin Faulk back then when they was on a rise and making a run. Kevin Faulk was that guy. Tom Brady utilized that guy. You don't really see too much quarterbacks use a running back and screen. You have to think about when Drew Brees had Alvin Kamara. Same thing. Same thing with Alvin Kamara. Remember when the Rams used Marshall Faulk? Same way. Antonio Gibson has that kind of skill set that can electrify. Now, he hardly ever gets injured, so his durability is very, very good. Very, very good. I think that when it comes to, if you look at how Pacheco was used against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, you could look towards that a little bit more. You look at how Dalvin Cook was used in Minnesota, how dynamic he was. There's different ways. I don't want to bring the name up, but I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys anyway. But how they use Tony Pollard. Antonio Gibson is the same guy, because guess what? When you got Antonio Gibson in the game to run the ball, you don't know where your gadget play is going to come from. That's where Curtis Samuel picks up that run. If you look at what Curtis Samuel did last year, when our offense wasn't even that great, he still ran the ball out of the wide receiver set. He did down him, but Eric Bieniemy offense is going to allow that a little bit more. Now, when McCall Hardman got released over the summer, everybody was saying that, hey, we need to go for McCall Hardman. But we don't have to when we got Antonio Gibson there, and we still got De'Ami Brown and Kazmir Allen also. And I believe Kazmir Allen is going to be another gadget guy that's going to he's going to be on special teams, but watch how Eric Bieniemy incorporate this guy. He's going to be another dimension, another weapon for Eric Bieniemy in this offense. It's going to take a lot of pressure. See, even though you got Terry as your number one, but you need guys that can take the pressure off of Terry, that can create matchup problems. Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel can create that. Curtis Samuels is so dynamic. He's kind of a mixture of Deebo Samuels, not that built, but I think he's more elusive than Deebo, and he reminds me of how Danny Amendola and Wes Walker. Not so much of Julius Edelman, because Julius Edelman was a beast. He could have taken hits, and I don't think Curtis Samuels could take hits like that. But if you mix the two, that's what you got. If you mix Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel, you're going to have your Marshall Faulk type Deebo Samuels kind of guy all blended in one. So that's why I feel that Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel is going to benefit so much from Eric B offense, because he's going to be able to allow them to create that matchup. It's all about shiftness, motion, movement, and that's what's going to create a lot of separation, especially if you put Antonio Gibson on a linebacker mismatch all day. You can run a misdirection, handoff, draw play. Same thing with Curtis in the round. You can even use Terry in the round situations. When they're thinking it's Curtis Samuel, it could be Terry. It could be Jahan Dotson. Washington has more versatility of offense than people give them credit for. To me, I think our offense is probably one of the most dynamic, if not one of the most athletic offenses we have. We have athletic guys on our team. So that's why I look at our offense as very unique. Very unique. So, but saying that Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson is going, I feel like they are going to get a lot. If you think about it, these guys going to get a lot of touches that, like I said, fans going to be calling for Terry to get the ball and all of this stuff, but there's going to be opportunities. There's going to be opportunities for Terry to get the ball. And one of the most important parts of this whole offense is the quarterback. Because Sam Howell has a gun. Sam Howell has mobility. Sam Howell is elusive. And despite his short stature, I'm not worried about that. there's going to be a lot of stuff that he's going to be able to do, because defenses is going to be so scared to come after this guy, where he's going to be able to get the ball out of his hand. He's going to create the matchup problems. He's going to use the tight ends. If people think Kansas City offense was non-stop or unstoppable, I'm going to say unstoppable, then watch what the Washington Commanders offense look like this year. I give about 2 or 3 games before we start catching fire. I don't even care about week 3 and week 4 that we have Philly or Buffalo. I just think going in them games, the first 2 games of the season, if our offense is rolling hard, it's gonna make them 2 teams look at us differently and say, hey, this team can score points. We're gonna have to play a certain different way. We can't blitz them. That's what we need to do the first 3 games against Arizona and Denver. Blitz them, beat them down, and be explosive. And we show that in the first 2 weeks of the season. And by the time we get to week 3 and 4, the Philly and Buffalo are gonna be looking like, okay, this team is for real. They not the same team we played back before, because they scoring points. How do we stop this juggernaut? That's what I want. That's what I want the narrative to be about the Washington Commanders. That we are offensive juggernaut. I ain't running about the defense, because our defense is the second. I think our defense is San Francisco's 1A, we 1B, right there with them. I just think our defense is that legit that our offense is going to go nuts on teams, and teams are going to get worn out playing us. Just plain and simple. Now, for my last segment of this video, talk about my boy, my other boy, because Terry's my dude. This is my boy, Jahan Dotson. Now, when Jahan got drafted, we all was pissed. I was pissed because I wanted Kyle Hamilton. I wanted that Sean Taylor image in my head again. So, but we didn't. We went a different way. We built the offense. Jahan fell in our lap. Now, a lot of people say, hey, we could have got Olave, we could have got Traylon Burks, we could have got Drake London, but hey, we didn't. We got Jahan. And guess what? Jahan is pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good. You know why? Because I go back to when Penn State played Ohio State with Wilson and Olave, they didn't outperform Jahan Dotson, who didn't have a number 2 receiver, and he outplayed both of them by himself. Go back and look at the game 2 years ago. Go back and look at it. Jahan was a beast. All his highlights. He did everything. And there's another guy at Penn State, reminds me just like Jahan too. Probably, I think he would be coming out this year. We could have another Jahan picked on our team too. So especially if we was to lose Samuels. Just saying. But nevertheless, Jahan had 523 yards last year. I think 35 receptions, 7 touchdowns. He led the team with 7 touchdowns. If he didn't miss 5 games, guess what would have happened? And we had subpar quarterback play. And he had 7 touchdowns and half of 1,000 yards. You imagine if he had a guy that could throw it to him? Hell, imagine what Terry could have do. Terry and Jahan probably would have had 1,000 yards last year together. But guess what? I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Like I said earlier in the video, Jahan and Terry will have 1,000 yards this year. We will have 2,000 yards receivers, and we will have 1,000-yard rusher. Watch what I tell you. I think Jahan is going to be the breakout star of this team. I think Jahan he's going to cement himself as that number 2, that Robin to Terry's being Batman. I think when it comes down to it, when it's time to move on for Terry, Jahan is going to be that guy. I think Jahan and Terry and Samuels are going to be so good together this year to where teams is going to make teams head hurt to how to deal with them. Because if Jahan didn't showcase what he could do last year, we would have been in a search of looking for another number 2 receiver or another receiver or drafting a receiver this year. Because there was some out there that we could have. There was times that we was talking about getting Christian Watson, which I like the Christian Watson. Christian Watson was one of my choices. But nonetheless, I do believe that Jahan is going to be on fire. I think because all the attention he's going to get, Sam is going to get, and I think Jahan is going to be able to benefit from all of this. He is going to be that breakout receiver. Mark my words. He's going to be that breakout receiver. He's going to get 1,000 yards or dang near close to it. But I do believe he'll lead the team in touchdowns again this year. I do believe that. Because if he didn't get hurt last year, Jahan would have had about 10 touchdowns. He would have had about 10 touchdowns. And then he had some drops last year. So just imagine what Sam Howell's going to be able to do with these guys. And him and Sam Howell already developing a chemistry. Man, all I can say, I just want to see what training camp look like in the next month. That's all I'm saying. But this is my video on Eric Bieniemy, Jahan Dotson, Samuels, and Gibby. Because I think Eric B offense is going to allow these guys to take a step further where we are going to be a dangerous offensive team that it's been a while, because we'll be able to put up 25 plus points a game. And if that was to happen, teams going to have to get prepared for us in the NFC, period. And that means the teams in our division. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell anytime I drop a hardcore video for you. Until then, this your boy LiveWire Sports. Stay blessed, and I'm out. Peace.